It's not a phone call. I was going to say, I'm waiting to hear.
Meeting is being recorded.
Is it?
Well, you are on mute, that's why.
Oh, you're muted, yeah.
Stay muted,
Okay,
unfortunately,
okay.
sorry.
It's 3 o'clock. I'll call the Winnebago County Human Services Board meeting to order. First order of business, public agenda. Anything on the public? Maybe from the public line, anything? Nothing I'm doing?
Nope.
All right. Then I'm asking, we have a member that's asking to switch a few things on the agenda today. So we're looking at doing 5, 6, and 7 before 5 bills report. Any problems with that?
Wait a minute, 5, 6, and 7 before 5? What does that mean?
6, 7,
I'm sorry, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sorry, 6, 7, and 8. I numbered them.
Okay,
I already numbered them. 6, 7, and 8 before 5.
Fine with me.
Only because Becky's got to leave early.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Any problems?
No,
No.
I can move. Should I move that?
You can if you want.
I'll move that agenda change.
All right.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Then we'll go with the program.
So happy to introduce Detective Schrader from our very own Sheriff Department. The request came up a while ago. Karen, it might have been you about like community safety, and I don't know if this will exactly touch on that, but I'd reached out to the Sheriff's Department, and so they've got a whole unit that Detective's going to share with us today. So welcome.
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 Thank you. It's nice to meet you. A lot of you I've already met, and some of you for the first time today. I'll try to cover things briefly. If you have more questions, feel free to ask, and I can expound upon them. If there's anything I haven't touched on that you have questions about, I can try to get you the answers. I've been with the Sheriff's Office 21 years. I'm completing my 22nd year. Presently, I'm assigned to the Detectives Division within the Sheriff's Office. So some of the things that we're doing for community safety, it's really kind of a three-pronged approach. We've split our office into two. So one half of our office covers all of the standard crimes that you would think about: burglary, robbery, home invasion, murder, child abduction sort of falls into special victims. But all your standard crimes are handled by one half of the office. The other half of the office is focused exclusively on vulnerable people crimes. So we're talking fraud of the elderly or fraud in general. We're talking human trafficking, and we're talking ICAC, which stands for Internet Crimes Against Children, and what we do with that. So specifically with fraud, I think this was about a year and a half or 2 years ago, we identified, just due to the sheer volume of fraud complaints we were getting, that was an issue that was uniquely impacting our area. So aside from just reactively addressing these fraud complaints after the damage has been done, we started offering free fraud training. We're willing to go anywhere within Winnebago County that we are requested to go. And we put on a presentation, which I believe some of you have attended. And it's all, thank you. It's all like fairly simple, easy to digest suggestions that you can apply to your everyday life, which make you a harder target for fraud or to be defrauded. I believe I have done at least 10 of those in the last year. Around 10. We've had very good feedback on that. Our frauds right now seem to be a little bit on the downslide. I can only assume that's because of the excellence of our instruction. But our frauds are starting to trend downward a little bit, which is beneficial. Aside from, I should go back first. We like to target the people that are the most common targets of fraud, which are retirees and the elderly. The reason is not anything to do with technical savvy. It's simple economics. People who have the most money, who are easily defrauded of that money because of the quantity. It's people who have money, who've invested for retirement. Calling a 21-year-old and asking them for $2,000, you might as well ask for $1 million because they're not going to have it. You call a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old, say, I need $2,000, your child's not getting out of jail. $2,000, probably not as big of a deal for those people. They've worked their whole life. So that's kind of why we target specific groups that we think can benefit the most from this. Human trafficking, that's an area that I'm not directly tied into yet. We have one deputy who works with Damascus Road. So with human trafficking, you're talking a lot of your sex for money crimes, or people who are just forced into the sex trade against their will, trying to get them resources to get them out of that lifestyle and back onto a lifestyle they want to live, to where they're not being victimized by people who they fear or who they feel are basically holding them hostage. So that is a new avenue that we're working on. As far as our ICAC, that is kind of a wide-ranging thing that we do, and that encompasses all of our local child sex crimes. So any child who's been victimized in any way, be it physically, emotionally, sexually, that group deals with those crimes specifically. As well as the proactive things that we do, which is monitoring the internet for data that's being received and transmitted within our immediate community. Without getting into the technical aspects of that, we have systems in place that when known files that contain images that are purely child sexual assault material are transmitted, received, we get notified. And we build a case to work backwards from that. Aside from that, we have our far-ranging cases. We have one deputy or one deputy detective who is assigned to the FBI task force to assist them with their ICAC investigations. We've been doing this, I think, since at least 2014. We have a great deal of success. Other agencies compliment us on the success we have, and other agencies want to work with us because of the amount of success that we've had. A lot of those times, we'll get cases that start off thinking maybe it's local, and then they go national or international. When that happens, we work with our law enforcement partners wherever those offenses are being committed, provide them the information, and we move on to the next thing. Well, that was a bit. Do we have any questions on any of those things? Go ahead.
Yes, I wrote down one, fraud is down in Winnebago County. Is it down statewide? Do you know that?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm speaking anecdotally. I'm not talking from a statistical standpoint. I don't deal with statistics, but I can tell you the amount of frauds I've been assigned have trended down over the last couple of years.
Okay, and the human trafficking, does that include, like, you said, any kind of abuse? Does that include kids who've been somehow lured to take and share photographs of themselves, thinking it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Is that human trafficking, or is that something else?
No, that would be more the child sexual assault material or sexploitation, and that would fall more under the parameters of the ICAC team.
Okay, my last question, if, not that I think this would ever happen, but if a person should ever receive a file of that is obviously child pornography, do you call the sheriff's? I mean, what do you do with that? Do you call, or don't delete? Do you don't delete it right away, or what do you do?
So in the off chance, and it's a non-zero chance, but in the off chance anyone here were to ever receive child sexual assault material, yeah, you don't have to delete it, but call the sheriff's office right away. We'll come out, we'll view the file, we'll secure it as far as the digital evidence, and then we'll work the case backwards for who sent it to you. Okay. Generally speaking, with the child sex assault material, it is done by people who are in that community, and they don't share it willingly. So it's usually a tit for tat type scenario.
So we'll sort of have to request it, or
Yeah. So child sexual assault material is very unlikely to show up on any part of the internet that anyone in this room would go to. There are a lot of dark corners of the internet that you can get to, that you will find this material, but As far as going into Google and typing, I want child pornography, probably not going to get any child pornography. You have to be a little bit savvier to get the electronic files.
I just want to say that I went, when you had the program for supervisors, there weren't very many of us there, but it was absolutely outstanding, the amount of information that you passed on to us, how we could go about protecting ourselves, how to go about helping to protect our community. If anybody gets the chance to go, all I can say is go, because it's not just standard stuff. There are things that you can apply to your life and to other people's lives. It was fabulous.
Thank you very much.
And all we did was quiz. There were only about 4 of us there, and we were able to inquire. We had tons of questions. It was terrific.
Yeah, so I think I speak for the gentlemen that do that presentation with me. We prefer to have an active audience who has lots of questions, because if you can get a group of people in a room and have them just start with one question, inevitably more questions come out, and you just get to dig deeper into the topic, and everybody benefits.
And then you get to say, how dumb am I?
Well, I know how dumb I am.
I'm learning.
Any other questions?
That's it's a wide breadth of what your unit covers. How many community detectives are there?
I believe right now we have, we have 8.
Is that, can you keep up? I mean, I imagine the cases must be.
So recently the county board approved 2 additional detectives, which has been a godsend because that frees up other detectives to work the caseload they already have and process those things quicker. And it allows the special victims group to actually take on and deal directly with the victim crimes. So yeah, it's only, one of them just started today, but I have already seen that our case flows, the amount of cases we're getting every day, starting to trend lower, so we can be more attentive to the cases that we're getting.
Karen?
Go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead, Karen.
Karen.
I'm sorry. I did think of another question, especially since you mentioned there were 8 of you working on this. Detective Michael. Yes, yeah. Are there others who have to view the kind of stuff that he has to look at, and are others then sent on a regular basis to like Quantico for evaluation and support? And I just think this poor guy has to look some awful stuff. Are you all getting that opportunity to get psychiatric care help?
Yes, so he is now the supervisor of that special victims group. I believe we have 3 of us that deal with child sex crimes. And I forget how often it is you're required to meet with a psychologist. But yes, everyone is required.
Okay.
Do you notice an increase in Oshkosh hosts EAA or sawdust days and the concerts, specifically around human trafficking, or do you not really track the?
So again, this will be anecdotal. I'm not speaking from a statistical report, but yes, EAA has long been, it's a large festival with a lot of people that have a lot of money. And anytime you get an influx of people and an influx of money, people that are in human trafficking, both people that are purveying it, the people providing it, they flock to those events. It's unfortunately a societal ill.
I met a young woman in the YMCA some years ago. She was just 20 maybe, but she had been trafficked. She was from Eastern Europe. She'd been trafficked for years. She'd been brought to Oshkosh many times, sold as a virgin over and over again. And finally, some church bought her contract and gave her a foster home. I mean, they were taking care of her. So that's how she got out of it. I mean, it takes somebody willing to fork over money to buy her contract. And they did.
A lot of times that also depends on the arrangement. Now, some of these groups that are doing large scale human trafficking, that might be how they operate, where it's, you have a contract, you need to make me this much money. Other times you're dealing with, I guess, more local people that are in the traditional, I guess, pimp role, for lack of a better term. But just by using that word, I think it's fairly simple under explanation. The role of a pimp is very strong. You're talking about controlling somebody's lifestyle, their money, their whereabouts. They're going to eat, if they're not going to eat, who they're going to be with, where they're going to be, when are they going to be there. So, yeah, it all depends what type of trafficking system you're in.
I am a very active participant with Damascus Road Project. And indeed, they are at the EAA. Any event that goes on, they go to the hotels, motels, and they have soap that's given, and their phone number is on that. And so there's a lot of it going on. But I tend to think of language and the way that we communicate. My language, other than English, is knitting. And if I say to you K2P2, you don't know what I'm talking about. You have your language in the sheriff's department, and these people who are trafficking have their language, and they are able to communicate throughout the state. And so these women, these people who are being perpetrated, they're being victimized again because they don't have the opportunity to go to another part of the state without that information going over to those people there in their language.
What'd you say about soap? Did you say soap?
Yeah, they have soap that they put in the hotels and motels.
Yeah.
Damascus Road Project with their phone number on it.
Instead of saying Holiday Inn, it says Damascus Road?
It will say, they will put soap into the rooms,
okay,
Karen, and they will have signs up, and they have a phone number for you to call. Yeah, a very active group of people.
It's a smart way to do things, because that way you're meeting people where they are, not where you'd like them to be.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
You want for coming.
Yeah,
And for what you're doing.
Yes.
Anytime you guys need me, just call. I'm more than happy to come and talk about anything that I have any knowledge of. Once we get outside of those parameters, the information gets a bit dicey.
Thank you.
Can I just have one more quick question?
Yep.
You said that fraud is going slightly down. Financial abuse of elders is going up. So is financial abuse of elders different than fraud?
It depends. So there's a lot of different types of financial abuse of elders. Yes, generally speaking, a fraud that targets an elderly member of our community could be considered a type of financial abuse in the generalized terms. But when it comes to financial abuse of elders, you're talking caregivers, you're talking family members, abuse of trust powers or powers of attorney, financial abuse, taking their assets and using them for personal gain or personal benefit. Yeah, elder abuse, that's a very deep hole. You also have, you just said financial elder abuse, right? Or were you saying elder abuse in general?
I only asked about financial because of the fraud. In general, it's going up as well, but not financial abuse.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So this is just my basic understanding of the demographics of our country. You have the baby boom, which is our widest portion of the bell curve for how many people exist. Then you have the contraction afterwards. So now we have the most elderly probably ever going to have in our history right now. So I would think just from a pure statistical standpoint, that would probably bear out. You have a lot of people aging out of the workforce with a lot of saved capital. So they're prime targets. And I should say with frauds, not all frauds are going down. The frauds, we had a big rash within the last 4 years, I believe, where people were calling, impersonating law enforcement, saying somebody's loved ones were in jail and without X amount of dollars, they couldn't get out. And they would actually, some of the cases would send people to the house to collect the money locally. This has happened here in the county. So that's not just a city problem, it's definitely a county problem. Then we also had a number of romance scams that were happening online. We had a lot of those going. That was when we kept getting those types of weird frauds, not just the standard business frauds where they're diverting funds. That's when we decided we should probably offer up some information.
Are you planning on, with the new board coming on, are you planning on doing another program for them?
I'll be more than happy to do that presentation for anybody. Yeah, if they would like a presentation, I'd be happy to have them. The last one we did was last year, maybe December. We went to an elderly community up in Menasha. That was well attended. I think we had 30 or 50 people in attendance.
Okay.
Yeah. That was really beneficial for what we're doing, because if we can get half of those people not be victims, the return on the back end is huge.
One more question, Larry, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a friend from church when she was about 70, which I was surprised because she's a bright lady. She went to CVS to buy a bunch of gift cards because she was, unfortunately, CVS wouldn't sell them to her. They said, "You're on the phone now. This is a scam. Hang up. You do all places, CVS, Walgreens, Quick Trip, do all places? No, don't sell a batch of gift cards to people."
Sadly, no. So I think what your friend experienced was basic human decency coming through
At CVS.
at CVS.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll get people that, I'm thinking of one case very specifically. You can tell a person this is a scam, please don't give them any more of their money, and they can still not believe you. We can show up in a police car with a uniformed officer and tell them you are definitely being scammed. If you send them another dollar, it's another dollar you're losing. It is a scam. Sometimes the con is so convincing that people keep doing it. And the gift card thing, very common. We cover that in that presentation as well. So if your friend would like to attend, we would like to have her. Also,
I think she's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there were some who said, "You fell for that?"
Well, that's, when we talk about that in the presentation, that's one of the things that keeps people from reporting that they've been victimized. So,
Be embarrassed.
yes, I always try to keep in mind that anybody who contacts us for a fraud, those are the people that have already gone through the embarrassment and still feel they should try to do what's right. People that would just rather not admit that they got fooled, those are the ones that end up suffering in silence. And almost everybody you come across in your day-to-day life, most of us like to think that people we surround ourselves with are fairly sharp. And I believe that's true for almost all of society. But that being said, a lot of times even smart people can be fooled if you have a convincing enough story. So, yeah, that's one of the things we deal with, is trying to convince people, don't be ashamed. This happens regularly. We have people in our office who have been defrauded. I don't think of any of them as stupid or slow. It happens. Sometimes it's a data breach. Sometimes it's an offer that seems too good to be true and you want to capitalize on that. There's a lot of reasons people find themselves in that position, and our goal is to try and help them to not find themselves in that position.
Any other questions?
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking about this, but lately I've heard about the voice thing. You know, you get, I don't know, I probably get 20 calls a day and there's nobody there. There's like pause before they come on. And then I heard there's where they record your voice on there, and then another one, they're impersonating you or doing something that they come back as your voice. Or someone said it was my daughter on the phone. It wasn't her daughter, it was somebody who copied that. Are you getting a lot of that here, or do we have anything like that?
I haven't heard of any of that here. That being said, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just haven't heard of it here. I get the same calls that you do where they're on the line. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've been told that a lot of these robocalls, they detect a voice input. So if they call and it's a blank line, I just don't talk. And I give it a second or two and nobody's answered or said anything.
Or just the movie Otto, I always say robot, robot, robot. I don't know if you saw it enough. But it's crazy, you get a lot of those calls and there is a pause. And they start talking to you, but you know, obviously they're not listening to what I said because they haven't heard anything I said. And then lately, there's been the calls from the same person making the conversation from a whole bunch of different. So I block everyone I can, and I always think I got them all, but I don't. They want another number and another number. And it's the same thing. It's like how they don't figure that out, but it's
like fighting a hydra. No matter how many heads you cut off, 3 more pop up.
It's crazy how they get away with it though. Something you do. I always thought when you're not on the list, you're not supposed to get calls, but
I think what we have going is we're getting a lot of overseas interference. Just the fraud game alone in Southeast Asia. Forget how many billions of dollars they said we were defrauded last year. Just 1 billion is an amazing amount of money, a type of money that most people can't even conceive that how much that is. But now you're talking multiple billions. So,
sometimes my wife and I will get, I know it's a scam call, but it'll be the local number, 203, and it'll be the Oshkosh, 608, or a Wisconsin number, then that's 203, which is our number, and it really throws you off for a little while. That's a while to learn that it's not a local number, so I tell pros block that.
That's called spoofing. We touch on that briefly in our presentation. Yeah. So what spoofing is say I'm calling from 911, but I want you to think I'm calling from 920-236-7300. You can take your number, put it through a program so that after you make that call, it shows up with whatever number you want it to show up as. I could be calling you from India. I could be calling you from Africa. I could be calling you from South America, from Antarctica. It does not matter where you physically are. You just make that happen. A lot of times there's voice over internet phones, and that's a whole other mess in itself. Those are phones where you're just using the internet. There's no contract. You can get a number for nothing and it's not traceable to you. So there's a lot of ways people are using the phone now to try and advance fraudulent schemes.
I've gotten phone calls on my landline, and the caller ID is my landline number.
Yep.
So someone in your house calling you, no. And I've also gotten calls that said Winnebago County. I called back and it was Veteran Services, and I said, Supervisor Powers, District 25, you called me about something, and they said, oh, we didn't. But the missed call was from Veteran Services. They just had used their phone number. If I'd been around, I'm sure I would have picked it up and answered it, because I would have figured it was something to do with the county.
So for running scams, this is another thing that we talked about in the presentation. Government agencies are kind of a choice identity to use, because when you grow up in this country, you're generally taught to respect government and respect its authority, respect law enforcement. So you're less likely to question somebody if they're calling you and saying, hi, I'm from whichever government agency. Immediately you're thinking, okay, well, let's just get through whatever this problem is and get on with our lives. And with that, you kind of put your guard down. So what we recommend is if anybody ever tells you they're from a government agency and they want to talk to you about anything to do with money, collect their information, tell them you'll call them back. After you've collected their information, check the phone number. You can check in the phone book, you can check on the internet. There's a bunch of ways to check. Find the number yourself. If they're saying they're from the sheriff's office, confirm what our number is and dial that number, not the number they give you. Because, and we cover this as well, sorry to keep banging on that same drum. If I were ever to contact any of you in my professional capacity, you told me, I don't know that you are who you say you are. I'm going to do some research and call you back. That's fine. I'm going to be here all day anyway. You call me back whenever you like. I'm not going to try and get you to stay on the phone. That's your option. Pause. But these people that are into the scams, They need you rolled up into that, so you're acting quickly without giving any type of long-term thinking. That's their goal, is to get you into an irrational state, so you make poor decisions.
Anything else? Good information.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If any of you need anything, Kyle Schrader, I work at the sheriff's office, be there for at least another 9 or 10 years.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Colonel.
Do you have any of your cards with you, Colin?
I do. I have 4. My last 4.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just hand them to whoever.
I don't think I have any more.
Anyone else for now?
Thank you.
Otherwise, I can give you his contact
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Your time.
All right, moving on then. Approved minutes of the January 3rd, 2023 Human Services Board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Accept minutes of the January 8th, 2024 ADRC meeting and the November 11th, 2023 Specialized Transportation Council meeting.
So move.
For a second,
Second.
and moved and seconded to accept the minutes. We can discuss it.
Just add 2 things. First, I noticed the date. Just does keep the date right. It said November 11th.
Yep.
There's no, on the paper, it says 21st.
I can check
I told her
into
about
that.
it.
I'll check into that and get that corrected. I'm not sure which date is correct. I was thinking the November 11th one should be, but I will check with that chairperson.
All right.
And then the second thing is, again, as a supervisor for the last 2 years, I don't remember this committee. So I guess I know they
Specialized
meet every,
transportation?
yeah, and we probably okayed it a couple times where the 2 together, and I never really looked at it. And now I really went into reading that information. So I guess, is there anything you can tell us about, or anybody in that committee can tell us update about that stuff, what they do or not?
It's been going on for quite
Yeah, they meet quarterly and,
I was gonna say, that was Mark's
Um,
face.
Started it years ago
Yeah.
because there was a state requirement to get the money from the DOT. We applied for elderly and disabled transportation funding. And so you at least have to meet quarterly, review different applications, things like that. So we set up an advisory committee and put it under the Human Services. It's an active committee made up a lot, as you saw, a lot of transportation providers and the public. It's a real active committee, and it looks like it's pretty lively.
You did a lot of bus riding.
Yeah, a lot of discussion on Route 10 we had over the
Oh, yeah, I
years.
remember that.
Went and did some shopping on the buses and
Yeah,
stuff.
we did. Rural transportation was always a big issue.
Yeah.
We discussed that probably for 10 years.
And I apologize, because like you said,
Oh, it's
until I
it
saw
only
that,
comes
I had
quarterly.
no idea what that was.
It's been around for quite, yeah, Mark's right.
It's back.
That's okay.
We started it in 1983.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow.
Rural options.
And that's,
I will say I looked up the date, November 11th was a Saturday, so it probably
So,
wasn't, but
so-
November 21st was a county board day. Would they have had one at
Probably.
1:30? Okay.
Probably, yeah, probably, they wouldn't have it on a Saturday or Sunday. So it's probably was.
Okay, probably the 21st.
All right, any discussion on that? I moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, and, financials, Janet.
Okay, so I thought I would just update you on some of our large transactions that will happen as part of our year-end closing. We will have 2 transfers in. One is from the opioid settlement funds, which basically funds the Connect program. And the other one is the neighborhood improvement grant funding. That was the big $10 million grant that the county got. We have approximately $1 million for the health program. So the settlement funds, we are looking at about $487,000 being transferred into human services. And for the neighborhood improvement grant, it is about $430,000. Those are not final numbers yet because the books have not yet closed, but that's what we're doing right now. So the total of that is about $916,000. It budgeted $854,000. So it's about $1,000 more than we had budgeted for 2023. The other thing we're going to be doing, we've been talking throughout the year about how our labor budget has been going over because of the reslotting that affected the whole county, all the employees. Plus we did things with the differential pay for our 24/7 facilities that was unbudgeted. So we have to do a budget transfer for labor. So we'll be taking money from our operating budget and moving it into our labor budget, which is a requirement. And that budget transfer will have to come to this board for approval. So that will probably be at the March meeting. Right now, we're looking at about $781,000. But the bottom line won't be affected. It's just taking from one pot and moving it into another. So those are kind of the big things that are going on. We are doing lots of little adjustments. The December books close on February 12th. Move into what they call the 13th period, which is when we make all our final adjustments, because our department, we get a lot of grant funding like 3 months after month end. So we don't get some of our revenues until like March, after technically December is closed. So it's really not until about April that final books are closed for the previous year. So we're working hard to make all those adjustments.
Thank you. Will the adjustments have to come before the entire county board or just this board?
The labor budget transfer will have to go through the whole process.
The whole process.
It will be, but they're going to do it countywide because all departments are pretty much in the same situation for 23.
That have to go through this board and personnel and finance? So I'm just thinking about the timeline. If it comes here in March.
The first Monday in March, then it'll go to PNF first Thursday in March, and then
county board.
Third week in March.
Yeah, I'm trying to get confirmation from county finance that it will be in March and not actually pushed back till April. So whatever they're doing, that whole countywide adjustment, need to get everything timed out correctly.
Any other questions for Jen? All right. And Renee.
Okay. So recruitment and retention is my standing agenda item for you all. And as of this morning, we've got about 15 positions vacant. Got some staff moving around.
15 sounds high. Is that normal 15?
It's been, I mean, we've had upwards of 20. So in that respect, it's better, but it still is high for us. You know, the pandemic really changed things for us, for a lot of people. You may remember last board meeting, there was some questions or discussion about NeoGov, which is like a human resources application tracking software. It does a lot of things. And I think we shared with you that our county is actually looking into Munis. We call it Tyler now. It's a program we already have, and apparently it can do more things. So the request is that program be looked at a little further before we purchase anything. Nothing yet in that, but there's hope. I recently had a conversation with Mark Hobbick, our HR director, last week, just brainstorming, because I think you heard from us last month, just some of the struggles, you know, that our current system has, and it slows us down, quite honestly. That's not news. I mean, every department probably feels that way. So we had a good conversation about brainstorming what can we do in the interim until we do have some kind of a software program to help us keep up. We're the largest department, as you well know, and we're a big county with 26 departments. So we really got to look into something. And we are. It's just slow. Yep.
What about the one that you had talked about? Is that the one, the same one?
It's NeoGov.
No, it's different than Tyler.
Yeah, it's NeoGov.
That didn't come up in the conversation.
It's been looked at. So I'm anticipating it could be an option if Tyler does not prove to be what we think it'll be.
Yeah. And to continue that conversation, it's not only that it takes a long time, it's that how many applicants are we turning away, or do we even really have an accurate number of how many we're turning away because of the antiquated process on that side?
Yeah, you're right. We don't know how many people we miss.
So it's a two-part problem.
Any other questions?
Not staff recruitment, but we have a different recruitment pitch for you, Annette.
That's me. I would, not only we should appreciate anybody getting staff, I still really love that. But we also are upping our recruitment for foster homes. Since the pandemic, we have had a reduction in our foster homes. So, and as you guys know, we certainly try not to use foster homes to keep kids at home, those kinds of things, but sometimes we need to. So wanted to share these cards with you that if you do know somebody that you think would be a good foster parent, if you could hand them out. So we're upping our recruitment and thought you guys could help us out. So I'll just pass these around. They're just little cards. There's a QR code that somebody can do with their phone, or there's phone numbers and email addresses on there for people to call. Help us find some good homes for some kids. Thank you.
One thing I didn't mention, if you haven't heard, one of our vacant positions is the lovely Miss Pam is retiring next month.
Oh,
Really?
Yes,
I am.
We can't talk her out of it.
So she's got so she'll be with us for our March meeting, and then moving on to other things. March 27th is her last day.
good luck.
We will miss her.
Thank you.
A lot.
Thank you.
Anything else already?
Yeah, is there an age requirement for being a foster parent?
No. Oh, you have to be, I'm sorry, yes, there is, I thought you meant like.
I'm talking about the high end.
No, on the high end, no, you just have to be, you go through a process, there's a licensing process, and be willing and capable of caring for children, that's it. On the bottom end, yeah, it might be 21.
21?
Yeah, sorry about that.
It might be a little young.
Maybe issue here? No, I'm thinking of the other word that I heard, alternative to single parent.
Yes, you can be a single parent. I don't know the alternative word.
I heard it just recently.
Yes, yes.
Takes me a while to remember those.
What's wrong with the single parents? Or the alternative to what?
It was just a different term.
Okay.
Single parent holds a lot of bias. There's a lot of bias attached to it, I think.
You're a parent. So
Yeah.
yes, we do. A parent of any kind is what we will certainly take.
Super.
Any other questions? See none, then Bill, your report.
Okay, so WIXA updates. First WIXA update is I just got noticed that the WIXA Spring Conference is out there so that we can register folks, and we can also call the hotel to get rooms. So if you're interested in going, the dates are April 24, 25, and 26. That should be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in April. It's going to be held in Wausau at the Jefferson Street Inn. That's the name of the hotel, so it's not like a chain hotel.
Jefferson Street Inn.
Jefferson Street Inn in Wausau. And I will have Pam send you out this notice because it does have the number for the hotel. And I think that we can, I can't remember now, are we still on where county board members need to go through the clerk?
Yeah.
I believe all board members go through the county clerk's office for registration.
So this would be the information you need to then forward to the clerk and say, I want to go for 2 nights or 1 night or however you want to do it. It's a Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then Friday is like a half day. And then everybody.
You know what time it starts on Wednesday?
It starts at right after.
Usually right after lunch.
Right after lunch.
Yeah.
So you can come for lunch.
Probably
And
noon.
start right after.
Yeah.
So, and then there's also for the rates, WIXA members, which all of us are, is $300 per person. And that there's a link, I think, to There's a register here that about, so you can give that to the clerk, tell what you want to do. For citizen members, do we do citizen members or is that clerk too?
The county clerk.
It's all clerk, okay.
Yep.
And then it'll be charged back to us, you know, for our accounts, but it'll go through.
Do you have an agenda for that meeting?
Did they have a tentative agenda yet? The answer is not, it doesn't look like on this.
No.
I think it's gonna be coming out soon, but some people were really concerned that if you didn't book the hotel, the Jefferson Street Inn, that you might not be like right down there. I think it's more of a downtown location in Wausau.
It is downtown here.
And a lot of the motels are kind of like a little out to the west.
Well, so I've never attended one of these things that I didn't feel like I came away with really good information.
Yeah, it's good to meet other people,
Yeah.
for all of you to meet your counterparts in other counties, kind of like figure out, compare notes, and there's some good topics. We try to have topics that are specific for human services professionals, but also topics that are more general for.
Usually the speakers are either human services secretary or their designee, and we always have the child welfare secretary there to talk to. And
so look for that. Look for that in your email. As soon as we get what the agenda is, we'll send that one out too. So you guys will get that in email.
Are these reservations transferable? Because the 2nd of April is the election.
Oh yeah, it comes right after the.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well,
you should know that.
Yeah, I don't. I
well,
guess
that
that
doesn't know that. I don't think all the elections are the same.
Oh yeah, they are.
Well, they should be. Yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
That's a good question because it comes right after. Theoretically, some of you might be off the county board at that point. I guess I'll get clarification.
Okay.
How about that? I'll get clarification for you. Like, could you register and still go even if it's a couple days after? Because the new board members aren't going to be seated and know what's going on at this point yet anyway. So.
They'll be seated the week before.
Yeah.
Right, but they'll be seated, but they won't.
But they
really
might not have a committee though. They won't have a committee.
And I think John gets a little more time to appoint.
Yeah, because I don't think the appointments are even by the organization.
But I'll get clarification on can you sign up?
If not transferable, could we cancel?
Okay. Second thing on my agenda for WICSA is just to announce that this week is a very busy week in Madison. There's lots of committee hearings going on. WCA is down there for legislative conference. I'm going down on Wednesday for a hearing on a bill that I asked Senator Fine and Representative Shaw to author for us. It's in the children's long-term support area. We've been paying $800,000 and some change every year as it's called maintenance of effort. It was something that was put on us in 2016 because we were good guys and tried to get kids off a wait list, and then the state decided to make us pay that forever as our maintenance of effort. Some counties haven't paid a dime for their contribution because it was based on 2016 efforts that counties put in of their levy. So we're trying to get that off of the levy and basically get the state to fund it a different way. And this is the legislation to do that. And our senator and assembly person basically authored this, and there's a hearing Wednesday. I'm going down for that, so I'm kind of excited. There's some other legislation happening. One is to get xylazine test strips off of the paraphernalia list so that people who are using xylazine, which is the new additive for opioids, to get that so that people can get tested so that they can find out whether or not their stuff is contaminated, which could literally kill them instantly. So there's that legislation going on. There's legislation for like kin to kind of broaden the definition of who we place kids with, which would be great. And there's some other mental health legislation that we're kind of supporting too. So I'm going to be down on Wednesday for that. I don't know, I guess that's pretty much all I need to let you know about. There's questions on the agenda or things that I can answer quickly, informationally, as opposed to, don't ask me a whole bunch of questions that I can't answer and talk about today. Otherwise, we'll have to put it on next time.
Next time. Karen?
Okay, this is a question you can't answer. You can just say, I can answer that. If you're going down to talk to them about kinship care and foster care, is that a time when you would approach the legislators about increasing the amount of money to make it more equitable, to what the kinship care would be paid the same amount as foster care?
The answer to that is this isn't the time for that,
Okay.
because that's more of a biennial budget, change the budget around.
Okay.
Kind of. And on that topic, we had good meetings with the secretaries. We told them at Counties Association that we want to talk with them early so we can put in our requests for next biennial budget. Because even though it's 24 and they won't take up the 25 to 27 biennial budget till next June, a year from this June, they actually start creating their budgets right now. And so they told us that we can talk to them about our requests like right now. So we are talking to them about changes.
My second question, Human Services Day at the Capitol last year was April 12th. Have you heard anything about Human Services Day at the Capitol?
That will be next year in April. We don't do it.
We don't every year.
We don't do one this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't do one in April.
Gotcha. Okay,
it's just the years that have to do with the biennial budget.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
You have a question?
The question is, some maybe in the future, but two things that were interesting. We would talk about the machines at all. Remember the machines that they were going to put out? Vending machine issue that just went.
Oh, the vending machine issue. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about different topics on what I know you had your enforced it and all that, but we need some more information. And the second one is we've been going to training for priority budgeting. And again, we know what that's going to be, but we wonder how it affects or what your targets or what you're thinking as your group or how you feel about it.
I can't really.
No, not now, but
yeah,
I mean, if
but
we
next,
could talk
next time
about
I could fill you in.
It's coming, and we're talking about it.
Yeah, I can bring it
we
up.
Have meetings
month.
about it.
It's on the agenda for next month.
But those two things are just
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Bill? I'd be able to.
We're back to.
Well, you want to do county board reports and then we hit the last?
We're good on time.
You want to do county board, or you want to go back to him?
Oh.
All right,
Thanks
number
for
5.
asking,
Okay,
Go back to inpatient.
So we have our charts.
meeting.
We have our charts, and I don't think there's anybody new board members this month. But if you look at your charts, the first two have to do with child welfare. Top line is juvenile corrections, Lincoln Hills. The number's down to 0 as of December.
Wow. You got nobody there?
That's the number I like to see. Is it staying there, Annette?
Annette?
Yep.
Yep, staying there. Okay.
All right.
Next line is residential care centers. December was a report of 3. I remember Annette saying that we could get as high as 6, but we don't think it's going to materialize. So thanks to Annette and her staff and the hard work, we're not getting to 6.
Good.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay, so that's good. Turn the page. Behavioral health. Now we're going to scrutinize Heather and her crew. No, that's. The December number for inpatient adult at the top of the page 2 is 3.6, which is still fine, right around kind of an average number. So we're good there for December. And for kids, again, same thing. We're kind of right around the average line, so we're fine with that number. Page 3 is secure detention, child welfare division. That's juvenile jail. That's short-term stays over in Fond du Lac. And December, we came down a little bit from November, 3.5. We contract for 4 beds, so I think we're pretty good there. And then foster care is hovering right around that, what number is that? 40.
40.
And traditional foster care, and if you turn to the last page, is kinship placements. And again, we're 140, 141 in kinship care placements. So I think overall, I have no concerns whatsoever about our placement numbers. I think we're doing fine. We ended up the year kind of about where we thought it was going to be. So I think we're holding our own on placements.
Any questions? Big thing to get that one on Lincoln Hill.
Yeah, we're down to 0 again.
Yeah. All right. Then county board report. Board member report.
Kate? Anything you want to report on?
I would love to, but it's not related to human
Well,
services.
Then you can't. Chris? Ralph?
No.
Harold?
Nothing
Karen?
I have nothing to report.
to report.
Peggy?
For me, thank you.
The only thing I had to report is, and it does have to do with human services, we do have a date for our wheelchair watch. This is what, our third annual fourth?
Gosh,
Oh,
no.
Is
no,
it-
we've
we
been
got more
doing
than
it
that?
5,
5
6,
years?
7 times.
Is it 5? I don't know.
One year we had two, because one year we had one in Oshkosh as
I
well.
think 7.
7th? Okay. Well, it's gonna be it's gonna be
August 10th.
August 10th. It's gonna be at A&J Auto. J&R Auto, which is on Main Street, just off Parkway there. It's gonna be from 10 to noon. So anybody, the board members that wanna come and help out that day and help out wash wheelchairs, it's a fun time, isn't it? Yeah,
Very fun.
it is.
Can we be obnoxious and spray people?
That's up to you. The only other thing I have to say is I'll be going to the NACO Legislative Conference on Friday till next Wednesday. I serve on the 2 committees, the Human Services and Education Committee. I also serve on the Healthy Counties Association for National Counties Association. So I'll be going to Washington along with Steve Binder, because he serves on the Healthy Counties steering committee with me. So you'll be, and I will bring back some kind of report next month. Yeah. Anybody have anything else that's good for the? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Wow.
That was
That's because Becky had to get out of here.